John Chambers, where the best witch doctors come from.
Thank you, Kirsten. Everyone knows the best witch doctors come from the island of Ponape. How do I know this? I've had so many spells cast on me, it's not even funny. I've never even been to Ponape, but I did live on Saipan for 4 years. And you can see the relationship between Ponape, Saipan, and Hawaii. You should all know Saipan. It's the capital of the Northern Mariana Islands, a U.S. Commonwealth, a lot like Puerto Rico. Citizens are U.S. citizens. But before I get to my story, let me give you some history for some context. The Commonwealth is located just north of Guam in the Western Pacific. It consists of 14 islands, and Saipan's capital is about a small island, about 12 miles long, 5 miles wide. The locals are called Chamorros, and they are beautiful people. Very friendly, very welcoming, quick to smile, very bright. No one knows exactly when the first humans arrived on the island, but they figure it was about 1600 BC. And they lived in relative peace for about 3,000 years. And then Magellan made his way to the island in 1521 on his world tour. And Spain claimed the islands later that year. And for the next 500 years, the Chamorros became a subjugated people. The island was of interest to the Spanish because of the Spanish Manila galleon trade. Spain would plunder gold and silver in the New World, then take it over to the Philippines and trade it for silks, spices, jewelry, ceramics, furniture, and take it back to Acapulco. And Spain did this for about 250 years. It just so happens that one of those galleons, the Nuestra Senora de la Concepcion, sailed off course because of a typhoon. The crew mutinied, and the ship ended up foundering and crashing on Saipan's southern shore on September 20th, 1683. And the locals, because of the mistreatment by the Spanish for the prior 100 years, they killed all the crew, except for about 28. Some of them escaped, made their way back to Guam, and then back to Saipan, or back to Spain. In today's dollars, there's about $3 billion worth of gold and silver and jewels and pearls. It was a bounty worthy of a pirate. And to this day, no one knows if that mother lode has ever been found. The locals made use of some of the iron and some of the tools that washed up on shore. But they didn't know what to do with the gold. They hung it from trees, and later explorers called Saipan Island of Gold because that's what they saw when they visited the island. I'll have more in the conception later. At the time of the Spanish invasion, there were about 60,000 Chamorros on the island, and the Spanish missionaries tried to convert them to Christianity. If they didn't convert, some were killed, and the rest were forcibly moved off the island to Guam. That and Western diseases caused their population to be reduced to about 3,500. At the time I lived there was only 40,000 Chamorros on the island, so they've never reached their pre-invasion population levels. When they forced the Chamorros to move to Guam, they forbade them to live near the shore. They forbade them to live or to speak their language. And they wouldn't let them live near the shore because they would try to build boats and try to make their way back to Saipan. And because much of their history is oral, they lost much of their history. They lost much of their culture. Spain controlled the islands until 1899 when they lost the Spanish-American War. And they sold the islands to Germany, who then controlled the islands until World War I. And the Germans controlled the islands until the Japanese controlled the islands until World War II. At the end of World War II, the U.S. gave the Chamorros the right to be what they wanted to be, their own country, their own state. And they chose U.S. Commonwealth in 1974. And that's where my story begins, first with my brother. In 1988, he was hired on as a marine biologist for a treasure hunting expedition for the Nuestra Senora de la Concepcion. They spent 2 years there, diving, churning up the sand, looking for that mother lode. They never did find it. They did find about $3 million worth of treasure, but it wasn't enough for them to keep looking. And my brother sent back stories and videos and pictures about life on the island and with life in the ship, and I thought it must be an amazing place. So in 1996, I graduated from law school, and I started looking for work, and I saw a position opening for an attorney on the island of Saipan. I immediately applied for the job, got the job, and spent 4 years there practicing law and teaching business law at the local college. And on my evenings and some of my weekends, I would spend my days scuba diving, looking for Spanish gold. We'd strap scuba tanks and BCs at the back of our kayaks, along with a 40-foot rope, and do a drift dive along Saipan 7 Mile Lagoon. I never did find any gold. And it wasn't all looking for gold. This is a picture we took of a Japanese Zero that got shot down in World War II. There are a lot of, World War II wrecks, both under the water and on land, still in the island. But the stability of the U.S. Commonwealth brought stability to the island. And they brought the Japanese who came back in droves, not to invade, but to invest. They paid locals $70 million for 55-year leases, onto which they built hotels, resorts, golf courses. Some of the locals became millionaires overnight, so Chamorros win. But the land became very valuable, led to very many costly estate battles. And so I walked in the courtroom one day for one of those estate battles, and I noticed a very familiar, pungent, sweet smell. I walked back to my office with my boss and asked him what that smell was. And he said, "Oh, that's just the Pohnpeian witch doctors casting spells on us. Don't worry, they're harmless." I didn't know that. I asked Pohnpei. He said, "Yes, that's where the best witch doctors come from." The thing is, we go back to these courthouses day after day for different cases, different reasons, and I would see the Pohnpeian witch doctors behind us in the back row casting their spells. Still don't know if they're effective or not. I had a criminal defendant meet me one time at the courthouse with his Pohnpeian witch doctor. They wanted me to help them cast a spell on the district attorney. I don't think the American Bar Association has any rules barring the cast of spells. But I thought if I get caught, I might get in some trouble. They said, no, we'll do the magic, we'll create the potions. We just need you to spread the powder around his desk. I said, I can't be involved in a Pohnpeian witch casting spell conspiracies. I was there for 4 years. Are the spells still affecting me? I don't know. To this day, my Chamorro girlfriend at the time bought me this mask to ward off evil spirits. Does it work? I still don't know. I do know if you spend any amount of time on a tropical island, it will capture part of your soul and keep it. Thank you.